Oh, hello. It's St. Patrick's Day, and I'm not wearing green, and that's not intentional. That was unintentional. Okay, I just recorded the train ride with the alligators and the frogs and my Grammy. That's the most important part. It was with my Grammy. Now, I took a few minute break and I'm going to tell about a different train ride. And it happened, I want to say, probably, if my memory is correct, which it's a while ago, right? It's been a minute. It's a memory that happened just after I got back and after the court case. Aha. So now, if you didn't watch the other one, you have to go back and see what the court case was. I think it was a custody case, but who knows? I don't. And it's a mystery, right? There's a movie, Shakespeare in Love, and there's a character in that says, I don't know. It's a mystery. And he says it throughout the movie, and then a few people after that say it. So I've appropriated it. I don't know. It's a mystery. Okay, so back to the serious stuff. Semi. So I remember a train in Passaic, New Jersey. Passaic, I wanted to put pictures in. If I get really good at the software, I'm going to put some pictures up here. Passaic was a mini hubbub. Like, if you couldn't get to New York, you went to Passaic. It was big. It had a nice train station. It had a wide street with stores on all over the place. There's restaurants. There's just everything. I wrote about it in my little book that I'm trying to finish. Actually, I'm doing these videos because the book is sort of, they're kind of hand in hand. But it's more fun, I think, to hear me say some of these stories. So if I do a KDP book, I'm gonna have links in there so you can flip over to the video and see me. Yay! Anyway, I just want to have some fun. So I remember this train, and it was had beautiful chairs and the kind that flip back and forth and then the kind that don't back and forth, and there was a porter. Still there was still that time period where there was porters that helped you on and off the train. And this trip I was with my mom and dad, and I was all excited because they're going to Passaic and we're going to go out to eat and we're going to go to see a movie maybe. And I don't know, it just felt exciting. And I was a little older than the other train trip. And obviously, oh, look at that. Obviously, they had custody me, so things were way different. I just remember that it was a sunny day and that I think we had taken the from Patterson into Passaic. I'm not real sure, point A and point B and all that stuff. I just remember a fun train ride. I remember my mom was all dressed up. She had beautiful clothes on, and she had those stockings with the seams in them, which he was always stopping to fix because I guess they're real silky and they slid down my mom's tiny skinny legs. Anyway, so my dad was dressed up. He had one of those overcoats on with the tweed and fedora hat, nice shoes, and it was cold out. I remember that because when we stopped to just stand and wait to cross the street or something, my mom and dad would let me hide underneath their coats. Oh, that was the coolest thing. My mom had a fuzzy coat. I don't know what it was, but it was fuzzy. All right, so my memory sounds very childlike because I may remember it from being a kid. So I just remember holding my mom's hand on one side as we got out off the train, and my dad's hand on the other side of the train. And he was swinging me back and forth. Right, they were swinging me like one hand in one hand. Did I say that right? Sounds a little confused. Mom was here, dad was here, and me, little kid, was swinging between them. You know what? Do that for your kids, okay? If they're small enough. I know a girl who's like 30 and she still lives with her parents. So I'm like, nah, maybe you don't want to do that. Okay, so we're walking, and like I said, it was a hubbub. It was busy. I remember seeing Navy guys with the big sack on their shoulders in the train station, and I remember wanting a pretzel. There was a pretzel stand, and just little funny things. You see. There was no balloons because it wasn't that kind of day. It was like a cold. I don't remember if it was raining or not. Maybe it was on and off, but it was freezing because I had a short little skirt on. What is it with parents? They dress themselves up And then the kids have no shoes on, or they have these tiny little shirts. I don't know. I see it all the time. So I feel sorry for me. No, I'm kidding. Sorry. So we're going across the street, and there's like just herds of people, which is all exciting, and everybody's happy. And so there's a theater, and it's like you have to cross over, and there's a Buster Brown shoe store. Again, I remember certain things. Buster Brown shoe store is pretty important in memory. And then over there is, I believe it's the Montauk Theater. I don't know if it's still there anymore. I'll have to look it up on Google. Above it was a Chinese restaurant. So, and the other side of, you could enter in the theater through these big double doors, but you also could walk up these stairs. And the stairs led to the Chinese restaurant. And you know what? The minute you open the doors, the food smells really, really good. It just smells so, so yummy. I'm gonna look at my notes. Please forgive me because I don't want to forget anything. Yeah, grand staircase, and there was red carpet. So like really nice red, and a lot of the Asian restaurants have the red decor with the black shiny epoxy, and they had brass on the staircase, the handles, and I'm the railings. Excuse me, the railings. And I'm a little kid. The first thing I see is like romper room. Let's go. I'm gonna play on them, and of course my mom's like be careful, and she's like watching over my dad and me, and just she's just a little anxious, and I don't blame her because is kind of a lot of people, she's so she's trying to get me to slow down when I'm like, yeah, I've been here before, I know this place is cool, they have cookies. Again, not the porter's fault this time. Okay, it's the Chinese waitress's fault this time. They were, I'm on cookie. I'm on cookie. Okay, I've ice cream and cookie stories throughout my whole life. Okay, that explains the lunch lady. Anyway, okay, so all right, wait, hang on. Yeah. So I ran up the stairs, and my mom's my dad's all like romantic, and he doesn't care if I'm have running off or not. He's just what my mom, and they're just like honeymooning it. And it was so good for me because it was like, remember, I'm coming from being away from them. I was with my gram for a while, and now to see them happy and together, and I'm older a little bit, by a few months, and I'm just like, this is like heaven to a little kid. Mom and dad love each other, and we're going out to eat. What's better? Besides being allowed to stay up late. So um, and my dad turns around and says to my mom, Dot. He was like that. He's just easy going. Dot, leave her alone. Let her have fun. Anyway, I get to the top of the stairs. I was just looking to remind myself. I get to the top of the stairs, and I recognize the waitress, like, because she'd waited on me sometime before this. So she says, "Oh, Diane, Diane, Miss Diane." I don't know where they Miss Diane. Maybe there was like a sign of respect because, again, this was another time somebody called me Miss Diane. So, I'm not a movie star, so I'm like, whatever, right? Like, Miss Shirley Temple. But anyway, it was cool, Miss Diane. And so, anyway, and I'm like ready to take off and go sit where I want to sit. And this whole big, in the restaurant, oh, they have the beautiful golden, I guess it's a Buddha, but maybe something. They have the dragons on the wall, and you can smell the wonderful food. Oh, it was so pretty. And the chairs were all shiny black, and then they have booths. Now you got to understand the layout of this restaurant. The booths were against the window, and the window looked out over the city into the train station across the street. And you could see, because the movie theater was downstairs, there was a little bit of an awning out of the window. And then behind the booth was a ledge, a landing where they had plants and figurines and all the beautiful. God, I love those restaurants. Just they take such good care, and they really present well. Anyway, that's how I remember it. So, all right. So, my mom and dad are laughing and talking and kissing, and it was a great big booth. It really would should have been for a family of like 5 or 6, but my dad just insisted, we're splurging, let's just take the big booth. Come on, Dot. My mom's name was Dot, my dad was Gene. Anyway, okay, enough of that. Okay. um the waitress comes by. Here's where it gets really good. The waitress comes by to see if they want something to eat, and the waitresses basically va va voom. She's got on the Nehru top and the satin, and it's kind of tight. I'm gonna say it looks like Ava Gardner, and if you don't know who that is, look her up. She was a real um, she was like a Angelina Jolie or one of the current ones. She was a vavavoom. That's what my dad used to say. She's a vavavoom. So Ava Gardner. This lady looked a little bit like her, only she was younger and slender and had the different facial features of an Asian. But she was knocked down, drag out, gorgeous. And my mom remarks, Jane, that dress looks like it's painted on her. Oh, here comes the tension, the romantic drama tension. My father just looked. You couldn't help but look. Hello? Ask any guy back in the day if he could not look at Ava Gardner, all right? So, and I'm trying to climb up on the back of this thing. My mom's paying attention to my dad. I could give a crap about either one of them. I'm having a good time, and I want to see the train station. I'm like, that's my trajectory. I'm getting up on this landing behind the booth, and I'm going to look at that train station, and I figured I could just sit there. You know how little kids are climbing all over in the restaurant? I have a very dear friend that has a little girl that we used to take out to eat the Sherry's, and that kid was on every booth in the place. So I remember, and I have compassion. I have little patience now, so I kind of get why, people don't like little kids doing that. But when I was doing it, it was okay, right? And my dad turns around and says to her, Dot, what's the big deal? She's a beautiful woman, right? My dad's like, nah, I ain't having it. And I like look, because I'm like, oh, that tone. I know that tone. Kids know the tone, okay? And so he says to the waitress, yeah, bring me a Ballantine, which for the people on the West Coast that don't know that beer, it is a East Coast beer. And I remember my uncles drinking it when I was a little kid. Ballantine. That was my dad's favorite. And my mom says, Gene, you promised you weren't going to drink. And he's like, oh, just one, just one. It's no big deal. Right? So I'm still climbing. I knock something over. I knock a plant over or some little thing. My mom's like, she's mad at him, but she looks at me and she's like raging. She grabs my dress because she can't get a hold of me. I'm so far away. She grabs my dress and it almost kind of tears a little. And then she pulls me, sit down. Parents, right? Okay, sit down. So I'm like, I'm still trying to get to the window. And the other waitress comes over, Miss Diane, you want cookie? And my mother's like, she ain't having it. You're not, she's got to behave. We're in a fancy restaurant. Look, if parents, if you take your kid in a fancy restaurant and want him to behave, the shit's on you. Excuse my language. Because they just don't. They just don't. They can't. Their brain ain't there. Their focus is like, shiny thing. They got to run. So, parents, don't be mad if your kids act up in a restaurant. Just don't take them. Get a babysitter or stay home. Okay, that's enough of my 2 cents. And I'm sorry for the potty word there. Okay, so my mom's like, she's on me. She's just on me. And now, because she's raising her voice, the beer comes to the table and my father just chucks it back. Like one beer, like one breath. And I'm like, I know when that smell is around, even my little kid senses say, mm, mm. It's that knowing. You just know. That smell's not a good smell. And too bad later in my life I didn't remember that. I'm sorry I'm laughing about it now, but I'm healed. I'm better. So I just need to kind of tell the story because it's actually a pretty emotional story toward the end. So the food comes over and there's egg drop soup for me, which I didn't even know it looked like striggy noodles. I didn't. It's kind of grossed out now. I won't eat it. Anyway, so it comes and I'm like back to climbing up again, and now my father's ordering a second beer, and now they're not kissing so much. They're not. My mom's like now she's really grabbing at me. Okay, now she's like really mad. Okay, so guess what happens? All of a sudden, my mom turns around and says, "Gene, I think I want to leave." Like, no, we have. Well, then make your daughter eat. What? Make your daughter eat? What am I adopted? I heard that would make your daughter eat. And I'm telling you, our parents can put a spin on your brain that stays with you forever. Because I don't even like Chinese restaurants now. Not because they're not beautiful and glorious and lovely and the food is delicious, but because of this like trauma thing they put on you, you know? Oh my god, my aces score. Don't ask. So anyway, um, now they're arguing. Now they're arguing. And now I'm like, okay. I'm still sitting on the top of the thing, trying to dangle my legs down, half pay attention and half look out the window. And I knock something else over. And everybody else in the restaurant turns around and looks at my mom and dad. And of course, my mom takes it personal. Well, a lot of parents do. They like, oh, my kid, I can't control my kid. So she grabs me and wham! And remember, now it was cold out. My legs were chafed from the cold. And guess what? It left a mark. Well, nowadays, my mom would probably go to jail for that. But back then, they just beat you. I'm sorry, I'm laughing about it because I'm healed from it. But the point being that it happened. So my dad gets mad at my mom. You want to slap somebody, bitch? Why not just slap me? I'm like, oh my God, now I know. We're in trouble. I'm going back to Florida. No, I didn't think that, but the after effect is probably like, wow. I start to like tear. Mommy, I'll be good. I'll be good. I'll be good. I'll be good. Just don't fight. Just don't fight. I'll be good. And I sat right down and I started to eat this nasty soup. It dropped. I'm sorry for all you people that love it, and if I ruined it for you, I'm sorry. So anyway, they start like they're having at it, and I'm trying to be good because I'm thinking if I be good, they'll stop fighting. I'm thinking I caused the fight, right? I didn't cause the fight. I'm just a nutty little kid, right? My dad orders the third beer. Now my mom's just like she's like a oh that movie Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, right? She's like that. She's like watching everything, and then the va va voom lady comes over again. Oh, Diane, Diane, Diane. Okay, so this lady's focusing on me but bending over in front of my father. Does the lady know what she's doing? Not sure, but it really, really set my mom like even worse. It was terrible. This was supposed to be a nice night out. So then I said to my mom, we're going to go to the movies. I can hear them downstairs because you could briefly hear like something through the floor, like there was activity. It was like, yeah, I was trying to like get us out of there. Kids know they try to like change the subject and stuff. And now my dad's on beer number 4, and it's like the motor coordination and the loud and the like no patience for my mom. And he turns around and says to my mom, you know what? And he throws 2 20s on the table and he says, and that's a lot of money back in the day. Hello, probably $10 would have been enough. He throws 2 20s on the thing and he says to her, I'm out of here. You catch a cab home. I'm done. Right? Because he was getting into place. And guess what? I said out loud, can I go with daddy? Can I go with daddy? And guess what? I didn't go with daddy. And I've been looking for daddy ever since. Yeah, that's some of my stuff. Okay, guys, it went to 18 minutes today. I don't apologize because that's the story and I'm sticking to it. More on those daddy issues to come. I don't want anybody to worry about me now. I don't worry about my aces score. Don't wonder, don't ask, because I ain't telling you. But I'm okay. And that's what a lot of these videos are going to be about, is how I went through this, how I navigated it. All right, 19 minutes. Done.